What is up, everyone, and welcome back to another custom zombies map. This is NL. NL. I'm not gonna say it the way.
We'll go with that.
I'm not gonna say it the way you want me to say it. All right.
Kevin, he is the one that picks these maps. He wanted to play this map.
Talking about.
Oh, going back in our conversation about last episode or whatever, whenever you're gonna post it. My best part is. I lost my train of thought. I was just thinking about it too. Or in the loading screen. Alright, I get back on the topic when I think about it again.
One switch. Okay.
Oh, there's a switch over here.
Flip it.
Alright, it's flipped.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Nobody voted for Elon. Says the crackpot lunatics who weren't paying attention to the 2020 election. Yeah, I never voted for Elon. Bro, I love when those people are screaming, "Nobody voted for Elon!" Like, bro, what are you talking about? Elon Musk was standing next to Donald Trump and it's like, if you vote for Donald Trump, you're gonna get me in the White House and I'm gonna go after all the corruption and I'm gonna create a thing called Doge. And like, bro, and then everybody went, yay! That was there for Trump.
Oh, did you hear about the 8-year-old kid?
Which one? 8-year-old kid?
Cancer?
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Now they showed the Republic really care about their people.
Yeah. Bro, no, Donald Trump made a point. He said, "I could find a cure to cancer."
No! I meant Democrats and how they showed in the video that they were just sitting there, not clapping.
Because
they lost a lot of people.
It was the point. Donald Trump made a speech saying, "I could find a cure to the world's greatest diseases, and these guys will never stand up and clap for me. I could make America great again." And then, on cue, like retards, a kid survived cancer. Donald Trump lifts it, calls the kid, and says, "I'm making you a Secret Service agent." And instead of clapping for a kid who survived cancer, they sit there with their pouty faces, with their stupid pieces of paper, going, "Liar! Nay, we will not." It's mask off, man. They're clowns.
They lost a lot of people on that.
The Democrat Party is a clown show. It's just clowns. Dude, dude, just look at some of those videos. Just look at some of the anti-Elon Musk videos. They're hilarious.
Right by the door.
Like, no joke. The clown people are standing out there. Like, literally, there's a woman outside one of the Tesla dealerships. She's dressed like a clown. She's dressed like a clown. She's about to go make balloon animals for the local circus. And she says, "I'm just this way because Elon Musk is a clown." Like,
Love your.
What? What do you mean? Elon Musk is a clown. You're a clown.
Oh,
Make me laugh, lady. Now we got.
Yeah. The stairway.
Oh, there's shootables. There's shootables.
Get the gun.
What gun?
Over here.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, HK. Okay, it's ACR. Grab the doubles.
Next row 5,000.
By the way, there's shootables on the map. Like, Democrats don't know. They don't have restraint, dude. They have no leader. They have no party. They have no plan. And they're just they're running with their heads cut off.
Yeah, we need to stop them and just never have them in power again.
But they have to go. It's
too far gone.
It's like this hate. It's this weird, like, I hate America. And like, bro, are you kidding me? It's just annoying.
So these levers opens the doors tower.
Okay. Another one.
Oh,
Does that have something to do with Half-Life? Because like these bot things I'm shooting are actually related to Half-Life.
Perhaps that's in door again. Oh, door's open.
Nice. Okay, so was that from the levers?
Yeah.
Okay. Remember 5,000 door right here.
Oh, that's pack. Rate into round 25. Pity Bear's endgame.
Really? Okay. Well, it's probably gonna be another 50,000 Bible.
Hopefully it's paid together. So now we get our perks. Yeah, they didn't go.
Another one?
We need, this might be controversial, but a lot of people support the idea of combining with Canada. And Canada's like, no, because Truman is going to retirement. You don't know that.
Yeah, he's being resigned.
Yeah,
he's not retiring. He's
retiring from presidency. He's retiring from the. And the guy that's taking over is apparently respected. Blah blah blah. Fought with the Canada Bank. Whatever.
Bro, anyone who stands against America's interest, which is world peace right now, is an enemy. Actually. Bro, I got a question for you. Who do you want as friends? Do you want real friends or rent-a-homies? No, seriously. Do you want real friends or do you want rent-a-homies? Because so far, from what I've learned from USAID, and it's not USAID, it's USAID, not aid. It's not going to aid. It's not going to foreign helping countries. No, it's a scam going to NGOs who are funneling that money back into the Democrat pockets. And probably even recover Republicans as well. So, there you go, everybody. Do you want... And also into the pockets of our corrupt allies, supposed friends, and these other countries. Again, so here's the question. Do you want real friends or rent-a-homies?
We need true allies.
Like true friends. We stand together, hold hands, lock arms against evil like we did in World War II. Right? You want that? Yeah. Or do you want rent-a-homies? Like you want Britain standing next to us? And
apparently Britain relies on us now.
Oh, but yeah, I know. Because we're technically the world police.
Yeah.
By the way, the admin gun, I got it.
Oh, if it's admin gun, that means it might be a shared ending.
Yeah. But I'm trying to tell you, do you want rent-a-homies or do you want friends?
We need actual allies. And the whole thing about, during the election, I think, when they said, oh, there's bombings from Russia, I feel like someone had a VPN hooked up to Russia, had another VPN hooked that up to Russia, and did a little email. And they traced it back to a random IP of Russia. Because VPNs can do that. You can link it to Russia.
Like, that's what I'm saying, man.
That's why I think the whole election with the Russia email. Oh my gosh, automatically it's Russia email.
Russian emails. Did you guys? Are you sure, or is it a VPN?
It's VPN because if you VPN Russia, then VPN from another place to Russia again, you're basically have two VPNs that have different endpoints. But they're like, okay, we trace it back to...
We got a lot of people who aren't very bright who don't know this stuff.
And I'm like, why would Russia get involved?
Now, yeah, Russia would get involved because, it affects the world. Because the United States is the military world. Yeah. And that's because of the liberal order. Back in the 1950s.
Yeah. No. What I mean by the bombing, why would they do that?
Oh, bombing their pipeline?
No, bombing us. The email was about bombing the Poles.
Oh. I don't know.
And
I don't know what you're talking about, to be honest, but
Well, you didn't watch the elections then.
Yeah, I don't
Because if you watch the election reactions, multiple news stations, it's not CNN, but...
I don't trust the news. I don't trust TV, man.
I know, but it's just a reaction to their meltdowns throughout the whole election. And see how their face changed from happy to sad and what in the world is happening.
What is happening? How did the Orange Man beat us?
And the news talks about, oh my gosh, there's been confirmed bomb threats from Russia. That's just dumb. It's not like Russia they would not do that.
Bro, Russia wouldn't make
bombing
it
Poland.
Bro, here's an example. Here's an example. in the war in Ukraine, there's this group called the what were they called? Yeah, I can think of their name right now. They're Wagner group. Wagner was a known Russian paramilitary group working for the Russian military. They're basically Russian special forces, but they pretend to be mercenaries. All right. Wagner was pulled into Ukraine, and they were kicking the crud out of the Ukrainians. Well, not Ukrainians, the Azov battalion, to be more exact. And basically, long story short, Wagner also broke free, and then had some issues with Russia, and then they had a coup, and then their leader got killed. And then their military, and then the Wagner group no longer exists because they were then disbanded and put right back into the Russian military, confirming they were all Russian soldiers. Even though Russia claimed for years they weren't part of Russian army. That's what Russia does. Same with, by the way, the United States does the same thing too. Like, we have our own guys that have paramilitary.
We shouldn't be against Russia at all. We should actually be allies, because China, within a couple years, is a threat.
Yeah, China's a real threat.
China's a threat.
Bro, China's been doing it. Is probably happy that we're fighting Russia. In fact, they're probably sponsoring this war.
Yeah.
They're probably the ones funding our politicians to fight the war with Russia.
Because China, if you don't know, China has time. They've been a country.
Dude, China does not fight wars in like 4-year quarters. Like that's the thing.
They fight you long term.
They fight the war. They see war in time spans of 100 years, a decade basically.
Yeah. The reason why you want to be a little scared of China right now because they have more manpower, more recruitable power and right now they're amping up their military ships. They're currently making their super carrier right now, and within a couple years they're going to be set into production.
They're not going to focus on air carriers.
I know, but
I listen to the military tech guys, and they talk about this. China is making one air carrier, and they're realizing it's too expensive to make as many as the United States. So their plan is to make light carriers, light cruisers, or light cruisers that are capable of having landing pads on them for helicopters or small jets. And have them land on them and use them as little and use those instead. Because China's war goals are mostly in their region.
Yeah.
Unless you count Africa and South and a little bit in the Middle East, but overall, their war goals are in their close proximity.
Yeah, but that's going to move on because at least we have some buffers. Japan is currently upgrading their ships that are supposed to be better than China's right now.
Yeah.
They're making destroyers that it's like AC something. It's called a name.
Yeah, and the same goes for India. India right now is looking for they're looking to upgrade their military because they used to be a heavy buyer of Russian weapons. And this is what I'm talking about. This is what I keep telling you. Russia looks bad on the world stage now.
Yeah.
Like
because they have a lot of old tanks.
And the reason they look bad is not because, they invaded Ukraine. Like, no, they look bad because their tanks are being blown up all over the battlefields in Ukraine.
Yeah.
That's
well, then keep in mind, maybe they're using, like, old World War II tanks. I don't know what type of tanks they're using.
The Russians have a lot of tanks. No, they're using their old
it makes sense.
Tanks from they weren't from the Soviet
Cold War?
But they were from Cold War and new modern Russian tanks. Russia has a variety of tanks. They have modern versions, which are the I think it's T-90s, and then their current new model, which they're making, but they aren't using on the battlefield that much. The T-something, I can't remember. But technically, the main tank they're using is an old Soviet tank that came at the end of the Soviet Union, just before the collapse, which is the T-74, I think. Because it's what they have the most of and what they can feel. Because the thing is, you gotta keep in mind, Russian tanks are built not to last, but to be easily fixable. And the Russian army has like a ton of tanks and tons of weapons. Because that's what Russia was. They were just mass-producing weapons.
Yeah, because a certain person was pushing their land, and they're just trying to pump out more and more.
Yeah, that was their idea of the war. They believed that if the war broke out, they would just massively pump their forces out, like they did just like they did in the Second World War, and overwhelm the enemy.
Which it worked well. The reason why, this is going to be a little more controversial, but the reason why, we all know who he's talking about. We all know the reason why he lost. was because America got involved and he had to go refocus on France. So he lost a lot of divisions, sending it backwards, and also some mistakes that he made about Leningrad.
It was Leningrad.
They don't know
No,
he's
it was not Leningrad. It was Stalingrad and
it's
and
Stalin.
Moscow. What happened
'Cause
was
split.
what happened was he focused too much in the South Caucasus.
Yeah.
He should have tried and pushed from Moscow, but the problem is the Russians were bolstering their forces.
Yeah.
So what they should
And
have
then
done.
winter
The problem is he shouldn't have
happened.
gone for the Caucasus. What he should have done was he should have gone from the south and flanked up towards Moscow. That's what should have really happened. But the plan was it was brilliant on paper, but it lacked I can't remember what the word is. I watched enough documentaries to understand the mistakes of World War II. The problem is Germany couldn't fuel their allies with enough weapons too. Especially when they were fighting two wars on two fronts.
My thing is once America got involved and
the problem was a lot of the countries that Hitler, the mustache man, allied with, couldn't even support their own countries with tanks and weapons. They could support themselves with basic infantry weapons, but not tanks and anti-tank equipment. They needed real anti-tank equipment from the Germans. That's what they needed.
Yeah. Now, what I was talking about the Stalingrad with is he had 3 divisions. He had one extremely good division up there, but he tried doing a blitz on Stalin, and he didn't back it up. He didn't back up his forces.
Yeah.
So they lost
because they didn't have enough troops, and
yeah.
technically.
But one of his biggest mistakes was not collapsing the British. He could have collapsed it, but he's losing his mind at the time, and British bombed Berlin, and so the mustache man instead wanted to bomb London again.
Listen,
he could have gone.
No, there was no winning the battle for Germany.
No, he could have docked it. No. British was on the verge of collapsing. You don't know that.
They weren't. See, here's the thing. The British were in a bad state, but the problem was the British were pretty strong still.
No, because British was being bombed. Every civilian was
but the thing is, Germany was losing the air battle. That's the thing you're not understanding.
He kept bombing. He kept doing bombing raids. He needed to stop doing that. He's doing bombings on London only. Because he got mad that they bombed Berlin.
Oh, yeah. No, you're not listening. The Battle of Britain is a complex battle, which is the reason why he lost a lot in the Soviets when he turned to fight Russia. The reason he lost was because when he turned his forces towards Russia, he lost half of his air force. Basically, that's the problem. He lost half of his, and keep in mind, his air force was the elite. He lost them in the Battle of Britain because when your plane goes down, right, over in enemy territory.
Oh, Mex.
When your plane goes down in enemy territory, right?
Yeah.
How does the pilot get back to Germany when you're in enemy lines?
He either dies or is in
their captured.
War prison.
Yeah, and that's what happened to them. All those guys, when they got shot down, they got captured, or when the plane malfunctions. And the thing is, the German planes were good at going across towards Britain, but the problem is they couldn't make it back because the Germans. This is why I tell you. I know enough history about this, and the things you're talking about don't add up with actually what happened.
And this is what I'm telling you is he was bombing them again and again and again.
Yes, but he
destroyed their bases. He destroyed the air bases.
Not all of them. Not all of them.
Not all of them, but the major ones near London.
Yeah,
they
but
could
the
have
thing is,
docked
the British spires were being pumped out of the factories, and the bombings he was doing weren't good enough to hurt the airfields. The airfields could be easily fixed. In fact, they were constructing newer airfields out of fields. I'm being pushed back. I need to get what's it called? Widows. Bro, back on me. Time to run.
I'm packing.
And double.
Widows.
So what was that? Back. So he couldn't win the Battle of Britain. And you might go, well,
I don't know.
Well, he should have tried docking. This one, that wouldn't have worked.
He had the chance.
No, Britain wouldn't. No, it would never work. Germany didn't have the navy for it. Germany didn't have the troop transports for it. He thought about it. They thought about it. The German military went, no, this is not going to work out. They made. They thought so. He thought he could win in a bombing campaign. That was the idea. They weren't gonna win. They couldn't land because the British also were heavily defending their coastline.
Yeah.
And that's a fact. When Winston Churchill had his forces pulled out, he immediately started placing anti-tank lines, everything on every shore of Britain. That's the thing you need to understand. It was never gonna work out.
Well, I don't know, because he would have had a lot of his forces. He would never attack Russia at the time, meaning he would have had a lot of army divisions.
I'm trying to explain to you.
I'm like,
how many troop transports do you think they need to do that? Germany did not have that.
Yeah, I know.
Their navy was beaten after the battle. Dude, this is another thing why they couldn't do it. Because Germany lost its main dreadnought. You know what that dreadnought was called?
What was it called?
The Bismarck. The best battleship in the whole German Navy. And also the first modern modern battleship with the most crazy newest technology, which we stole by the way. After the war, it was sunk.
By British?
Yeah, by the British. It was beaten in the battle. I can't remember what the battle was. It literally. That's what the song from what's it called? From
Good Advances?
What? No, not Good. That's Sabotage. That's what the song Bismarck is about. The dreadnought flash. It's about the Bismarck and its battle and its final battle when it was sunk.
When was it sunk? What year is this?
You might have to Google it. I can't remember. It was sunk in 1940, I think.
1940?
Yeah, which is literally the Battle of Britain, just before.
Well, I don't know. Why would he attack Russia?
It was sunk
knowing that British is an enemy?
It was sunk near the North Atlantic. Not North Atlantic Sea. It was sunk near Norway, basically. And when Germany lost its main battleship, Germany had to rely on U-boats for its navy.
So why did Germany attack Russia knowing that British is still an enemy?
Because he thought he could win in the Battle of Britain, and then on top of that, he thought the British would never try and take the land. That's why. Because he thought the war was over, basically, with Britain. That's what you need to understand.
Yeah.
Hitler thought he won Europe, and that he also thought the Americans, who were at the time, by the way, we were an isolationist nation.
Yeah.
We got involved because of Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we were,
we were sending equipment, but that doesn't mean like we were actually there.
Yeah.
They'd have all the tanks in the world, but if they don't have the manpower to control that equipment, then it's like kind of useless.
Yeah. We were sending it to Russia, and we were sending it to Britain.
I was saying we were waiting to get involed, and then we just ended the Pearl Harbor, which happened.
That's why people debate.
Our biggest fleet was not there.
That's why people debate that that we knew that Pearl Harbor was going to get attacked. Yeah, we need to find a better camp or something. Because of how our main fleet, our air carriers, were not at Pearl Harbor base. They were out to sea.
Yeah.
That's why it's heavily debated.
Well, I should probably buy PhD for the mechs.
I bought one. Right? How about you?
Alright. We just have 3 more rounds. Is there cherry on the map? Cherry?
I don't know. I got widows now.
Oh, you just now got widows? That's not good.
I'll pack that weapon I got.
There's Deadshot. I don't need a Deadshot.
I'm heading back to the corner.
I found Cherry, but over here on my side. I don't know. He had a couple mistakes that led to his ultimate defeat. That cost him greatly. But like I said, once America got involved, they had all those boats dock Dunkirk.
Yeah.
Took over France again, liberated it, and then Germany had to pull a lot of forces back to his
technically, you might go, well, hold on a second. He took France, and thus that means Germany was able to get their hands on the French Navy. Wrong.
Hey, what about that?
The French Navy was destroyed by the British. The British attacked the French Navy in their forts. Literally after the French surrendered. That's what happened.
No.
Because they didn't want those ships to fall into Germany's hands.
I'm not with you. Oh, it's a quick revive. One more round. Let's see what this ending is.
That's a little fun fact for everybody.
Yeah, it was already game over by 1941 when Japan attacked. It was already over. Because the Americans developing their technology, they were sent back. It's looking at the war. Okay, we're using this gun. We're upgrade our weapons. We're upgrade our tanks. Because the thing, we're just sitting back. We're just supplying them.
We were sending vehicles off to those countries and tanks, basically for our own military.
Yeah. And so like we had all the metal. We had everything. I was under the assumption that he didn't attack British because he got upset that his capital got bombed.
That was after.
He was already losing his mind.
Actually, that happened too, but that happened more.
That's the same because he could have.
Because the German airplanes couldn't go that far. They can only reach basically the shores of close to London. That's as far as they could go, because their engines weren't just, they couldn't hold enough fuel. There was a fuel problem basically. That's what the issue was. Only when the Germans later started making newer planes, the other fighters, did they eventually start getting close enough to, they could have gone over and done it, but the problem is, they were fighting Russia.
Yeah, what I got my impression from was the oversimplified World War II stuff. Talking about his 3 mistakes that he made.
Yeah, you shouldn't watch the oversimplified guys, because those channels, they're great at explaining the general
It doesn't
basics.
go over every single battle.
It doesn't go over the battles. I watch the guys who do the battle stuff and talk about the mistakes. Like, those are the people I watch.
There's a lot of mistakes that happen.
Not just that, the guys who also talk about the tanks, talk about the armor thickness, they talk about what was going on, the intelligence, the background stuff. I watch all those channels. The guys who actually go through the actual military documents.
Okay, what I was
doesn't actually do that. He pulls out the history textbook and basically goes, according to my history book, but then without the history book part. And basically just insults.
There's something because they bombed their bases, like they could not get the units back. But the redirection of bombing London again.
Every time the Germans bombed the British, blowing up their planes or damaging their factories, the British were pumping out 150 planes per day, basically.
Yeah.
While the Germans were losing I think it was 200 planes or something.
Why they redirected back in London, making British be able to build factories, build air bases again. That's what I was talking about.
How much the ending is.
That's what I was saying.
80,000, by the way. I kept thinking of it.
Alright,
we
is
need
it
to
fair?
get a crawler.
As I was saying, like, no, they couldn't. I was telling you, the reason why they were making air bases again in fields was because they directed on London, bombing London, because of what they did to Berlin.
But that wasn't enough. No, they were already doing that.
My assessment was lose his mind. He was losing his mind, and he got upset that his homeland, his capital, got bombed.
Yeah, but again,
you're
listening to Simple History Guy.
Yeah.
The Simple History Guy is just making a joke.
Huh?
That's
joke. Not a joke.
Yeah, it was a joke.
So you're saying they did not bomb Berlin?
They did bomb Berlin. No,
yeah,
you're right, but that's not. But the joke is the angry mustache man just got mad. That's the joke.
He's furious.
Yeah, he was mad, but that's not why he decided to go bomb London.
Again? He already bombed London.
Yeah,
London was already bombed.
No, yeah, he was bombing London the whole time. What do you mean? Bro, this is what I'm trying to explain to you. The Battle of Britain was literally fought in London. London is where the battle...
How do you look this up?
The main Battle of Britain was taking place over London the whole time, and it lasted like 6 months. I'm trying to explain this to you. Stop. But you keep telling me, Simple History Guy says. Simple History Guy tells me.
Well, I'll look this up.
Simple History Guy is just giving you the simple history.
Yeah.
Alright. As always, like to you guys,
No, don't end it yet. We're gonna see. Alright. I can't spell. Bomb. I can't
Just
spell.
type in Battle of Britain. Where did it take over? Where did it take place?
Okay, that's weird. Oh no! I meant Berlin. Oh no! It's London. I typed in Berlin.
This guy.
Can't type.
Yeah, but London was constantly under bombings during the Battle of Britain. And according to the military history guys, I trust the Germans had 2,000 pilots at the time of the Battle of Britain. When they invaded the Soviet Union, they invaded with only half of those guys, meaning 1,000. They lost 1,000 pilots in the Battle of Britain. So this is a lesson for all you guys about Simple History guys. The Simple History channel is great for giving you general knowledge, for just giving you the basic knowledge, and also keeping you entertained. But when it comes to the hard facts of the stories and stuff, yeah, Simple History is not the guy you want to go to. You want to go to a channel that actually focuses on the military battles, the plannings.
All right, now this is a controversial one. So just going over it.
Yes,
would Germany have won World War II without America? No, Germany would not have won World War II without the United States.
Yeah.
The U.S. played a key role in the war, including, but America still got involved somewhat. So this thing doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
No, Germany would not have won World War II. But then it talks about explanation. America sending supplies to Russia and all the other places. So America still got someone involved.
Yeah. That's why that's one of those channels you got to look at. I'm like, no.
No. This is from AI Overview.
Yeah.
Like one of the top things.
Yeah. I know about that.
And then it talks about America and how they supplied the war. Yeah, okay. So the correct answer would be, if America did not supply foreign countries, would Germany have won the war? And the answer would be yes.
Yes. Actually, yes. I would have been, yes.
Yeah.
Germany would have won the war if they, well...
Because it says no, Germany would not have won the war without the United States.
Yeah.
And that's incorrect, because America still got involved, supplying-wise.
Yeah. And then, technically, well, I'm not sure, because Russia was kicking butt with the T-34. The T-34, when it popped up against the Germans couldn't fight. They found their Pak-36 was ineffective against it. They found their Pak-38 was barely effective. So that when they would go into using, so they had to implement the Pak-40, which is the 75 millimeter anti-tank gun, which wasn't in full production really at the time. So they had to struggle against the T-34s, but against all the Russian tanks like the T-26s and ET-7s, they were easily knocking those things out of the war and capturing those things by the dozen. And it wasn't just the T-34 that they came against that they had struggles with. They also came against the Stalin, I think it was the KV1, KV2s, and the KV2, also known as the Stalin tube. They came against those. Or actually not the Stalin tubes. It's the KV2. The KV2s, and they had problems with those.
Okay, so one of the main reasons why Germany could not invade was because of the air support, because they lacked knowledge. and information about key targets to bomb.
Yeah. And because
So the strategy for the Lundwall
and that's
is
because the
bad.
British, when they lost at Dunkirk, they immediately began building defenses along the coastlines, and then after they built coastlines, they immediately began creating new airfields in fields and camouflage them and made it so that and hid stuff there, so it looked so that the Germans weren't able to notice that they had planes there, or they had no planes there. So they are basically using.
Okay, so I was partially right too. The Germans could have put boots on the ground in England by the end of 1940. For starters, the rough defense of British airspace in mid-1940s, while Admiral wasn't decisive in forestalling the invasion, because the invasion didn't depend on the Luftwaffe gaining local air superiority.
Yeah.
It's just as people were talking about, about it's a bad idea. Let's focus on our actual land. British is done.
Yeah, because they couldn't. Because
I'm saying because Germany had the manpower. They had the manpower.
They had the manpower, but the problem was supplying and logistics, and trying to get on land
and supporting a large transport to that area across the English Channel.
And this is the thing you need to understand. Even during D-Day, we had to trick the Germans to leave their posts.
Yeah,
This is why D-Day was such a success, because the Germans
failure.
Because when we sent paratroopers behind the lines, the Germans pulled troops from the coast to fight those guys.
And also the location wrong.
And because of that, we basically were able to storm the beaches much easier because they had less guys at the beach, and a lot of them were sitting around for so long. Some of them were just drunk and were passed out, and a lot of those guys at the time that were there weren't actually the best troops. A lot of them were new recruits who were just being stationed there, or they were weak and wounded or old guys.
Yeah, but the main thing was, like I said, was the location. Germans thought we were at a different location.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, it was a deception tactic that misled the Germans with the invasion location, combined with poor German response, allowing the Allied forces to establish foothold. Yeah.
Yeah, we also tricked them on what beach would land on.
Yeah.
Which we tricked them in the thinking would land in somewhere close to Spain.
It's considered a success, but also a failure because we lost a lot of troops docking.
At D-Day, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things that the German High Command would fear, too. They feared the same thing that we did when we did... Because technically, we actually attempted D-Day earlier. If you don't know this. The failed D-Day. Google that. Can't remember what it's called. It's basically an operation where the British tried to storm the beaches of... It wasn't Normandy. It was up more north from the beaches there, and the British failed. They were basically just gunned down. It was bad. It basically gave the Germans confidence in their coastal defenses. And it was not because it was poorly supplied or poorly it was poorly managed, but it wasn't because it was poorly supplied. It was just because it was heavily defended. And on top of that, it's really hard when you're coming off the beach by a ship. That's the thing you need to understand. You are at a massive disadvantage when you're coming from the water and onto a beach. You're storming a beach. Defenders have home field advantage, and that's one thing you need to understand. And that's not even talking about the need for the troop transport. Germany would have needed to have a lot of troop transports to continuously flow onto the beaches of Britain to overwhelm the British positions if they were invaded. And then they would have to move inland and then supply those guys. Now, they could have, with the channel being close to French ports. Problem is, the Germans just didn't have enough transports to transport the troops they thought would be required to do it. And then you might go, well, why didn't they do paratroopers? Well, the reason they didn't do paratroopers, because the paratroopers could have been abandoned. Because if they failed at their job, if they failed, then the beach would have not succeeded. And then on top of that, those guys would have probably, if they were captured, the plans would have been ruined. And there's a lot of reasons. I can't remember all the reasons for why, but that's some of the main reasons. But also, the Germans didn't really have a paratrooper corps, really. I think they didn't really use paratrooping that much. The only time they did it was on the island of Crete. That was a disaster. The island of Crete was terrible for the Germans. They came down from the skies and were being killed by farmers. By the way.
Alright.
So yeah, is this it?
Yeah, that's it.
Right. So as always, guys, like and subscribe as usual. I hope you enjoyed the history lesson, because I love history lessons. Gyros doesn't know much about the stuff I talk about, but yeah, I'll send you some tank stuff.
You watch actual like documentaries about these tanks, and it's like,
Yeah.
I can sit there for an hour, listen to a guy speak.
Right, I talk about its manufacturing. I talk about how many were produced. You know what? You want to know what the most produced tank in World War II by the Germans was?
What was it?
The Stug 3. Yeah, it
was the Stug.
The Stug. It was the most produced tank in the war.
The tank destroyer.
Yes, the Stug. Because it was cheap.
No wonder they lost the war.
What?
Stug was good, but in like medium-sized combat or close combat, that tank is kind of bad.
Yeah, but the reason it was heavily made is because it was cheap, it was cheaper to make than the Panzer IV, or even the Panzer III, and mainly because it used a Panzer III chassis, and just had a 75 anti millimeter tank gun placed inside of it. And on top of it, it was a really good tank at the time. It could be anything on the battlefield, basically. And it had a low profile, meaning it was harder to see, harder to attack, and easy to use as an ambush tank. The problem was the armor. It needed to be sloped to give more protection, but it was a really good tank. And when it's paired with infantry, it was the best tank that Germany could field. Like the T-30, the Panzer IV was the best tank they had, but it wasn't the most produced tank they had.
Yeah, the Panther.
Yeah, and no, not the Panther. Panther wasn't their most produced tank.
No, but it was the best tank they had.
The Panther was the best tank, but
yeah,
due to lack
but
of
it came in too late,
material,
though.
it came in way too late. And
1943,
and
yeah.
it was rushed technically into production. It was rushed. Like it had bad. It was a.
Well, Russia's tank was the T-34-85 variant, which was the best tank.
Yeah, T-34-85 variant was better than the T. Can't remember why. Long story short, the Russians overwhelmed and beat the Germans because they just kept producing the T-34.
Yeah,
that's what happened. Russia just won a war by making one weapon over and over and over again. That's all they did. Oh, that's why during the war, the Russians kept making the Mosin Nagant, which was their main bolt-action rifle. And then they did have semi-automatic rifles. They also did have submachine guns, but the submachine guns weren't enough at the time when Germany was invading. And when the submachine gun really came into full production at the time, it was in Stalingrad basically, and being pushed into production as fast as it could. And a lot of them had some issue. Long story short, the Russians mostly won because they made the cheapest weapon they could, and just threw it out there and gave it to them.
Ooh. M4 Sherman was the most effective, but like everyone knows, the Germans always over-engineered their tanks, which caused a lot of breakdowns. Unrealistically, the most powerful tank in World War II would be the Tiger II.
Yeah. And because the Germans were very heavily in experimenting with their tanks.
Yeah, we all had that one huge train thing that you got in that one game. Yeah, that's what they're making.
Yeah. And
that huge artillery tank.
Yeah. Anyways, that was an actual real thing, by the way. Anyway,
yeah.
Anyways, because the Germans were heavily experimental with their tanks, it caused a lot of problems in logistics when it came to maintenance. Yeah. And that's okay if you have a strong industrial base, but the problem is Germany had its industrial bases being bombed in the later stages of the war in like 32 and in 42 and 44, which caused issues in production line. And on top of that, Germany had its allies, Italy, Hungary, Romania, and all those other countries. Those other countries couldn't compete with Germany they had factories, but their factories couldn't produce the tanks like Germany could, and they lacked materials. They lacked the materials. Germany needed to supply their allies with tanks. That's what that needed to happen. Italy,
Yeah.
in fact, Italy was the one supplying the Romanians and the Hungarians with tanks, and the tanks that they were,
So,
and the tanks that
yeah,
were, and the tanks they were giving them were their L3s, their L3, L6s, and by the way, anybody doesn't know what the L3 is? The L3 is a CV. It's also known as the CV-35. It's not even a tank. It's a tankette, and there's two versions of it. There's the flamethrower version, and the L3 version is the 2 centimeter anti-tank gun, basically placed inside of a close haul tankette. Had no turret, and the flamethrower version saw use on the Russian front. By the way, the Soviet Union, and the other tank they were fielding, which wasn't even a medium tank. It was like a light tank, but it was being used as a light reconnaissance tank, but was being used as a medium tank by Italy and the other nations, by Hungary and Romania. It was called the L640. It had an anti-tank gun in it, but it was a 2 centimeter gun, and it was a semi-automatic gun, and it was turreted. But the problem is the armor was riveted, and it was bad. It was poorly made too. The tank was poorly made, and it was basically you compare it to a Panzer II. The Panzer II was better than the L640 because it was literally just a stunted Panzer II. And then the main battle tank for Italy, which was the M1340 series, which went from M13, M14, M15 when it ended. And those tanks nothing was really changed on it. It had a good gun, but the armor never changed really. And the only things that really changed on it was the barrel length got improved got bigger by like a millimeter or two, by a few inches. Or the engine got changed from petrol to what was it called? They went from I think it was oil to petrol or something. I can't remember. And then also the armor got increased by slightly enough. And the number by M13 doesn't really mean like, oh, it's a tank model. No, it's the 13 actually stands for weight, meaning it was medium tank, 13 tons. So M1340 was a 13-ton tank. M1440 was actually a 14-ton tank, and the M1540 was actually a 15-ton tank. It wasn't actually oh my gosh, they're just changing it. It's a new tank. It was the same tank. It was just the weight changed on it. Same with the L. The L was actually just a light. It stood for light tank, rather than and it was the weight of the tank. L3 was the weight of the tankette of the CV-35. The CV-35 was a 3-ton tank. The L640 was a 6-ton tank, if I recall correctly. It was a 6-ton light tank. Yeah, and Italy's tanks were built that way for a reason, because they had a mountain. That's why. And they envisioned mountain warfare, basically, rather than storming the open plains and muddy roads and forests and the swampy forests of Russia, basically. So, anyways, the Italians were the ones that were fielding the Hungarians and the Romanians and the Czechs and the Romanians and stuff. Hungary had infrastructure, same with Czechoslovakia. In fact, the Czechs were making the same tank. They couldn't even make better tanks. The tank they were producing throughout the whole war was what was it called? It's the Panzer 38T, and then they eventually made it into they upgraded it slightly into something called the Panzer 38T. They built the Mudar 3, I think, on its chassis, and then they later built the Panzer 38T off of the chassis. So yeah, it was issues in production basically, and an improvement of tank. That was the issue. Anyways, as always, like, subscribe, doodle. I'm ending this video because it's very long.